Ryan had seen battlefields, collapsing walkways, even the inside of a malfunctioning plasma engine. But none of those prepared him for the sight of a small alien girl sitting alone in the middle of the quiet landing zone, sobbing like the universe had personally insulted her. Her long ears drooped so far they nearly brushed her knees. She looked almost human, just smaller, paler, and significantly more disappointed in existence. Ryan paused, unsure if comfort protocol applied to royal extraterrestrials, but she looked up at him with red, shimmering eyes, and his brain made the brilliant decision to act before thinking. He approached slowly, holding up his hands the way one might approach a frightened animal or a toddler holding a grenade. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, voice cracking in a way that immediately made him want to retire from social interaction entirely. The girl hiccuped, shaking her head with the dramatic despair only children and opera performers could manage. "No, everything is ruined." "Everything?" Ryan sat beside her, cross-legged on the cold alloy floor. "I mean, that's impressive. Most people only ruin part of everything. Takes talent." Her ears twitched, which he hoped meant amusement and not a signal that he was about to be vaporized. She sniffled. "The council yelled at Mother again. They said humans can't be trusted. They said we should leave immediately. And now Mother is angry and everyone is angry and I hate angry people." Ryan nodded, offering her the only comfort item he had, a slightly squished ration bar. "You ever had one of these?" She blinked. "Is it dangerous?" "Only emotionally. The flavor is called neutral protein experience." Her tiny mouth tugged upward, just a fraction. She accepted the bar, took a dramatic bite, and immediately made a face that conveyed profound betrayal. "This is horrible." "See, something we can agree on already," he said. The landing zone shimmered with distant energy fields, and the soft hum of diplomatic transports echoed faintly. Ryan knew he technically wasn't supposed to be anywhere near royal passengers, but he couldn't just leave her. Every few seconds she glanced around with panic, as though expecting someone important to appear. Ryan tried to lighten the mood, pointing toward the nearest patrol drone. "If it makes you feel better, that thing's been watching me for 10 minutes and still hasn't figured out if I'm breaking regulations or just socially awkward." "You're socially awkward," she declared with the blunt confidence of a child. "Absolutely," he agreed. The moment was almost peaceful, well, except for the fact that the air suddenly vibrated with the approach of a ship that definitely cost more than Ryan would earn in several lifetimes. The craft descended with elegant precision, its hull etched with the swirling patterns of the Elendari royal fleet. Ryan swallowed. The girl stood quickly, ears perking with both hope and dread. The ramp hissed open. Out stepped Queen Selenith herself. Ryan had only ever seen her in briefing hollows, towering, poised, long-eared, a figure carved out of authority and ancient politics. In person, she was somehow even more daunting, her presence so commanding that even the air seemed to stand straighter. Her gaze swept across the landing field and locked onto her daughter, who was holding an empty ration wrapper and standing very much beside a human soldier who had absolutely not been granted permission to comfort alien royalty. The Queen strode forward. Ryan rose, resisting the urge to salute every direction at once. Arila, however, ran directly into her mother's legs, hugging her tightly. "Mother, I wasn't alone, I promise. He helped me." The Queen's eyes flicked toward Ryan with a coldness that suggested she was calculating at least 12 ways to remove him from existence. He attempted a smile, which probably made everything worse. Hi." She was upset. "I offered emotional support and terrible food." Arila tugged her mother's sleeve. "He made me laugh." The Queen's expression faltered, just slightly, a soft crack in a marble statue. Ryan watched her long ears tilt the way her daughter's had, subtle movements full of meaning he couldn't decipher. She looked down at the girl, brushing a strand of pale hair from her face. "You should not wander off during diplomatic negotiations," she murmured, but her voice had lost its sharpness. "I didn't wander. I stormed out," Arila corrected proudly. The Queen sighed, a sound so weary and so unmistakably parental that Ryan nearly smiled. Then she turned her attention back to him. "Human soldier," she said, each word precise. "You approached my child without authorization." "Yes, Your Majesty," Ryan said. "In my defense, she looked like she was about to declare emotional war on the universe." A flicker, just a flicker, of amusement touched her eyes. "You are either brave or foolish." "Oh, foolish," he replied, "very foolish." Arilla tugged her mother's hand again. "Can he come to the negotiations? He's funny." The Queen stiffened, clearly caught between outrage and bewilderment. Ryan held his breath, completely certain the answer would be no, and equally certain he'd be escorted off the planet immediately afterward. But instead the Queen gave him a long, evaluating look, her expression unreadable. "We shall see," she said. And for the first time in years, Ryan wondered if the universe had just shifted underneath his feet. Ryan had been in strange rooms before, storage chambers full of leaking plasma coils, debriefing halls where generals glared like malfunctioning turrets, but nothing compared to the Elendari Diplomatic Council chamber. The place glowed with shifting violet light, the walls forming graceful curves as if grown rather than built. Holographic symbols floated lazily overhead, displaying everything from star maps to official warnings that Ryan absolutely did not understand. He tried not to touch anything, because everything looked priceless and easily breakable, two qualities Ryan had a long and catastrophic history with. Queen Selenith stood at the center of the room, her posture effortlessly regal, long ears angled in a subtle display of authority. Ryan had already learned that her ears communicated more than her voice, and right now they were saying something like "behave," or "I will personally eject you from orbit." Arilla sat beside her mother, swinging her legs and smiling at him like he was the day's scheduled entertainment. Which, Ryan suspected, he was, just not in a way that would end well for him. "Human soldier," the Queen began, "you have been summoned as a witness to the incident involving my daughter." Ryan straightened. "Yes, Your Majesty, she was crying. I attempted comfort. Results varied." Arilla giggled, which caused several council members to look at her with expressions that could only be described as children are unpredictable bombs. One elder Elendari leaned forward, his long ears drooping sternly. "Why did you approach the princess without authorization?" Ryan kept his voice steady. "Because she was alone and upset. Where I come from, you don't ignore someone in distress. Even if that someone is a royalty from a civilization with lasers that can cut moons in half." A low murmur moved across the council like a ripple of static. Queen Selenith studied him carefully, her gaze sharp enough to slice through alloy. "Your honesty is unusual." "Thank you, it's mostly because I'm bad at lying," Ryan replied before realizing he probably shouldn't have said that out loud. Arilla clapped quietly, delighted. The Queen's ears twitched upward, a sign he had learned meant amusement buried under official irritation. "The political tension you walked into is delicate. The Council believes humans are impulsive." Ryan blinked. "I mean fair." One of the counselors frowned. "You admit this?" "Oh, absolutely. Humans do all kinds of questionable things. We built a toaster that talks, and then were surprised when it argued with us." The Queen stared at him as though unsure if she should laugh or exile him. "This is not a comedy forum." "Understood," Ryan said. "But if it were, I'd like to request better lighting." Arilla nearly fell out of her chair laughing. The counselors did not laugh. Ryan suspected they were physically incapable. Before anyone could scold him again, the chamber lights flickered. A shimmer of distorted energy rippled across the floor. Ryan instinctively reached for his sidearm, though he doubted a mere firearm would matter in a room full of beings who could probably vaporize him by raising an eyebrow. An alarm sounded, gentle by human standards but apparently quite serious for the Elendari. Holographic symbols turned crimson. The Queen's expression hardened. "Sabotage," she said. "Security protocols have been breached." Arilla's small hand gripped her mother's arm. Ryan stepped in front of them on pure instinct, which earned him a few startled looks. "If something explodes, I'd prefer it hit me first," he said. "I'm sturdier than I look." The Queen's ears angled sharply, signaling shock. "You would place yourself between us and danger." Ryan shrugged. "It's kind of my whole job." A panel in the wall hissed open, revealing flickering conduits sparking with unstable energy. Elendari guards rushed to contain it, but the crackling spread like fracturing glass. Ryan scanned the conduits, recognizing the unstable pulse. "That's a feedback loop. If it overloads, you're going to have a very expensive hole in this room." "You understand our systems?" a counselor asked with suspicion. "Mostly, I understand when something is about to explode. It's a skill I've developed from life experience." The Queen gestured to the guards. "Assist him." Ryan crouched beside the conduit, pulling out a multi-tool that was absolutely not certified for alien technology. He prodded the sparking panel, earning a rain of electrical arcs. "Okay, that felt personal." Arilla peeked over her mother's arm. "Can you fix it?" "I can definitely try. Trying is my specialty." With a combination of guesses, desperate adjustments, and pleading whispers to the conduit not to kill him, Ryan managed to isolate the overloaded circuit. The sparks died down, the alarms dimmed, the chamber steadied. Arilla burst into applause. "He saved us." Queen Selenith stepped closer, studying him as though re-evaluating every assumption she'd ever made. "You acted without hesitation, and without regard for your own safety." Again, job description, also bad impulse control. Her ears lifted slightly in unmistakable amusement. "Human soldier, Ryan, you have complicated this day more than I expected." "Most people say that about me," he admitted. Arilla ran up to him, tugging his sleeve. "Mother, can he stay for the negotiations, please?" The Queen hesitated. Ryan felt the room hold its breath. Finally, her ears softened and her voice followed. "He may stay." Ryan blinked. "Really?" The Queen met his eyes. "Yes, for reasons I do not yet fully understand." Ryan had always imagined that saving a royal council chamber from catastrophic plasma implosion would earn him a quiet transfer somewhere safe, preferably with fewer glowing walls and significantly fewer life-threatening diplomatic situations. Instead, it earned him a seat at the negotiation table, where he now sat between an Elendari elder who disliked breathing the same air as him, and a holographic translator that kept glitching and repeating the word awkward every time he spoke. He suspected it was judging him. Queen Selenith stood at the head of the long crystalline table, her presence calm but sharp. Her long ears angled high, signaling authority with a hint of something softer when her gaze drifted toward her daughter or, every once in a while, toward him. Ryan tried not to look directly at her whenever it happened, because the counselors already stared at him as though he was a walking diplomatic accident. The negotiations began smoothly enough. Accusations were exchanged politely. Threats were phrased as hypothetical scenarios. Ryan mostly kept quiet, which everyone agreed was the safest option. But midway through a discussion about border rights, the room flickered again. Not the soft shimmer of Elendari light technology, this was sharper, colder. Ryan stiffened. He knew that flicker. A hologram materialized in the center of the chamber, displaying coded symbols. Sabotage confirmation. Another breach. The Queen's expression hardened. The elders hissed in outrage. Arilla clutched Ryan's sleeve, whispering, "Not again." Ryan squeezed her hand. "Don't worry, if something explodes, I'll dive in front of it heroically, or stupidly." "Hard to tell the difference." Arilla nodded solemnly, "Mostly stupidly." The Queen turned to the guards. "Locate the intruder." Before they could move, the chamber doors sealed with a thunderous crack. A distorted voice echoed, clearly using stolen Elendari tech. "Negotiations will cease. The Alliance cannot be allowed." A blast shook the wall, sending sparks cascading. The council panicked in 8 different elegant ways. Ryan rose. "Okay, nobody panic. Well, panic a little, but panic efficiently." He rushed to the Queen's side. She did not step back. Instead, she placed Arilla behind her and faced the shuddering doors with eerie calm. They seek to destroy the talks and frame humans. Classic bad guy move, Ryan muttered. No creativity. A panel on the side wall sparked violently. Ryan recognized the overload pattern. It wasn't going to implode this time. It was going to release something. He sprinted to it. Everyone step back unless you want a crash course in alien electrical disasters. The Queen moved closer, ignoring the Council's horrified whispers. Do you know how to stop it? Absolutely not, Ryan said, prying the casing open. But I'm getting good at pretending. He dove into the exposed conduit. The pulse was building rapidly, forming a sphere of unstable energy deep within the circuitry. Ryan reached in, gripping two sparking coils with zero regard for self-preservation, and yanked them apart. Light burst around him. The room shook. A wave of heat washed over his face. Then, silence. The energy sphere dissolved harmlessly. Ryan exhaled shakily. I would like a raise or a snack. The guards finally broke through the sealed door and apprehended the saboteur. An Elendari extremist who believed peace with humans was a cosmic disgrace, which Ryan found extremely rude. The Queen interrogated him calmly, uncovering the whole plot. Escalate fear, blame the humans, end peace before it began. But the sabotage had failed. And Ryan, slightly singed but still standing, had prevented disaster twice in the same week. Even the Council had trouble disliking him now, though several still tried. When the negotiations resumed, Ryan noticed something different. The Elendari spoke with less suspicion. The humans responded with less defensiveness. And every so often the Queen glanced toward him, not with irritation, but with quiet acknowledgement. Hours later, when the treaty was finally agreed upon, Arilla flung herself at him in an enthusiastic hug. You helped save our worlds. Ryan hugged her back, surprised at the tightness in his chest. Team effort. You emotionally supported me by laughing at my terrible jokes. You're welcome, she said proudly. The Queen approached, her long ears tilted in a gentle curve he hadn't seen before. Ryan, she said softly, your actions today and before have affected more than you realize. He rubbed the back of his neck, just doing what felt right. That is precisely what changes destinies, she replied. You have altered mine and my people's. He met her gaze then, steady for once. And you've changed how I see the galaxy. I didn't expect that. Her expression warmed in a way that made his heart stumble. Perhaps peace begins exactly that way. Arilla looked between them, beaming. Mother, you're smiling weird again. I am not, Selenith said, absolutely smiling weird again. The chamber lights dimmed as the final signatures sealed the treaty. Ryan stood beside the Queen and her daughter, the weight of the moment settling over him in a way no battlefield honor ever had. He had come here a simple soldier, braced for conflict. Instead, he found connection, trust, and a place where his clumsy courage somehow mattered. As the crowd dispersed, the Queen spoke quietly beside him. Your presence will be requested at future meetings. Ryan smiled. Is that an order? A request, she said, but one with significance. He nodded, then I'll be there. And as the new alliance shimmered into existence, fragile, hopeful, and indescribably important, Ryan realized he had stepped into something far larger than duty. For the first time in his life, he felt the future tilt toward possibility. And this time, he didn't run from it.